Hi, my name's Luke. I'm chatting to you about how to do this. Talk to people when they're not actually in the room. Bit of a weird one, but there you go. It is what it is. So, hello, virtually. So I had the pleasure of teaching my postgraduate certificate in autism completely online earlier on this year in June, and I've done it a couple of times since. So I just wanted to share some of those experiences. But first of all, go back probably, let's think, probably about 30 years. And I used to speak at conferences, I still do. But I realised that I was absolutely rubbish at it. And it used to really annoy me because I was really good at providing autism training, or I always got good feedback, and then people would say, "Oh, you've done a great training session, come and speak at our conference." I'd go and speak at the conference, and I was utter pants, absolutely useless. And I woke up one morning thinking about a conference that I had to go to later on that day, and I was getting really worried because I was so utterly useless. And I suddenly realised that the reason why I was so pathetic and useless was because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And that day, apart from having to go to a wedding, was the last day I ever wore a tie. So what I was doing was I was emulating what I thought a good presenter at a conference should look like and how they should act. And because I was pretending to be something that didn't come naturally to me, I was rubbish. So the conference in the afternoon, I turned up looking like this. And I did a half decent job. And that taught me a really, really valuable lesson about being yourself rather than trying to be somebody else or something else. Here's another one for you. I barely know what I'm doing from one day to the next. And I was looking at my diary thinking, I knew I was speaking at some conference the following day. I was like, I was wondering where it was. Oh, it's in London. Oh, it's very central. So it turned out I was speaking at Westminster. I was like, crikey, that's a bit scary. Anyway, it was this whole day event about a whole plethora of different things. And I turned up, and the person before me, I hope you never find yourself in this situation. The person before me was doing a presentation to the government about how to do the best public presentation. And I was on directly after him, and he had a 10-point plan, 10 bullet points of what you need to do to be the best public speaker. I only met one criterion, which was be on time. And I thought, oh, that's a bit worrying. I was the only one that was invited back after that day. So I suppose what I'm saying to you is don't follow the rules. Do your own thing. Be your own person. You're talking about a subject that you absolutely love. The fact that you're talking to the wall or the dog or the geese, Lady Pollyanna and Lord Percival, Polly and Percy, which I always have a little wave to when I'm teaching online. But you're doing something that you absolutely adore. So crack on and do it. In terms of mentioning those geese and the dog or whatever, if you are recording, and of course Amazon are delivering, other places or people or firms or institutions are available, no doubt. But the doorbell goes, the dog starts barking. Don't worry. Don't think, oh God, I need to record this session all over again. I think the personal touch is what makes the whole thing human. Your students know you're a human being. I think your students want you to be a human being. They don't want a politician. Hey, look, some of us have done media training and we know how you're supposed to be. You're not doing a media presentation. You're not on News9. You're chatting to your lovely students, as I say, about something that you absolutely adore. So I suppose my ultimate bit of advice is don't listen to me. Literally, do your own thing. Oh, don't be constrained, by the way. We're told, oh, I don't want to get myself into trouble at the university. Do follow the rules and regulations if you're supposed to. But this kind of notion of they have to be 15 minutes long, your online presentations. Why? Who told us that you can't engage a group of people online for more than 15 minutes? I don't think that's the case at all. If you're engaging, you're engaging. So, it might be 50 minutes is absolutely perfect for you. My sessions tend to be about 45 minutes long. And I don't really have a problem with recording those. I get very twitchy in terms of, is this actually working? And is it going to upload okay? But it took me ages, by the way. It did take me a while to get used to it. One of the things that I did notice was when I first started, I was talking really quickly and I was trying to get everything in. And I thought, what are you doing? It's okay to pause. It's not a problem. Just being natural. This is a tip, actually, in terms of being natural. It's very unnatural, I think, talking to a mirror. No one wants to look at themselves and talk to themselves in a mirror. If you do, look up narcissism. No, but it is very odd. So one thing that I found really useful is to minimize myself in terms of the webcam, to make myself as small as possible. So you don't get distracted by thinking, goodness me, I really need to pluck my eyebrows or whatever. Okay, so that is a little tip for you. Oh, another little tip, do stand up. If you sit down, you become loads more boring. Don't know why that is. I'm not talking about you personally, because I don't know who I'm talking to. I'll talk to myself. I become a lot more boring if I'm sitting down. And also what I found is do talk to the screen as a whole rather than to a PowerPoint presentation simultaneously, because I found on screencasts that the presentation takes up a lot of the screen and there's just a tiny little corner with you. I think your students probably want to be engaged by you rather than looking at a PowerPoint presentation. It's much easier, I think, to engage with a human being rather than just print. So I make sure that my presentations all come with their PowerPoint presentations as well, but as separate files. In terms of what I've found around my student feedback, inclusivity is a big thing. So I just very quickly go through what I did. So I pre-recorded all of my sessions, a whole week's worth of talks. Be kind to yourself. Don't do what I did. I did it all in 1 week. So I literally did it as if I was delivering. Nearly killed my throat. So yeah, do make sure that you see. Look, my phone's going, and I'm just checking my phone. Nothing wrong with that. Leave this bit in. It's fine. It's not a problem. Something about chicken curry, if you're wondering. Anyway, where was I? Yes. So I did do mine all in one go. And the reason I did those pre-records, a couple of reasons. Mostly because I was worried about my internet going if I did it live to a whole group of students. But actually, I teach autism and I have a lot of autistic students. And particularly those autistic students fed back and they said, because I made the material available for a full week before the course actually started, and they loved that. A lot of students said I would just watch those lectures over and over again. It really helped with processing the information in my own time, and then subsequently after the teaching week, they could go back to individual lectures that particularly interested them or they wanted to revisit for whatever reason. So the materials are available for the duration of the entire module, and students really liked that. They liked that a lot. Then during the actual teaching week, I just invited everybody to collaborate. Rather than expecting them to understand collaborate right from the outset, the week before I had 2 collaborate drop-in sessions just informally so that students knew how to use it. I also sent out guest links to the Collaborate sessions, so students didn't even have to navigate Collaborate to engage during the teaching. So you can, I'm sure you know how to do that already. Then on the day, I had a programme that again I sent out separately, emailed everybody as well as having it on Blackboard. Come 9:30, I shared my screen, clicked play, presented the pre-record, and then we had a Q&A session. Now the Q&A session was also super inclusive because even if people weren't able to attend because they had childcare arrangements or whatever it might be, they could email me, they could watch the presentation beforehand, they could email me questions that I would answer live. All of those sessions were recorded. Students could ask me questions via the chat if they didn't want to ask their question live, as it were, or they could ask question live as part of the group. Students really enjoyed the fact that I didn't insist on them having their videos on. If, you know, some had little kids in the background and what have you. Lots of my students who maybe have high levels of anxiety said that they felt extraordinarily safe because they were in their own safe space at home and they didn't have to share their video if they didn't want to. So I think actually there's a lot to be said for this remote malarkey. I've just realised I'm over time, but one of the other things just quickly is about what I really liked was that you can cheat. I shouldn't say that, should I? But I'm renowned, I think, for saying too much and not getting through my slides. Whereas doing this, nobody knows how many slides you're speaking to. So you just stop when you stop and then you only offer those slides. And it works every time. You're super efficient and absolutely brilliant. I'm not. You are. Thanks for listening.